Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bigfoot Odyssey. I'm your guest host, Mr. Brent Thomas of the Paranormal Portal. I'm filling in tonight for Mr. Kerry Arnold, who is otherwise engaged. And he's of course, going to be out there keeping an eye on us, making sure we're keeping his boat afloat. But I am joined tonight by Daniela, who will keep me afloat and make sure that everything's working as it should be. But tonight we got a great show for you lined up. We got a special guest tonight, Mr. John Williams. Welcome to the show, John.
Good afternoon, all.
And John, now you've you and I were just talking before the show about the incredible laundry list that makes up your life. You are a filmmaker, you're a director, producer, the whole shenanigan, huh?
Yeah, and I'd just like to say first off, I'm not the John Williams who did all the music. And that was just to get people on the chat tonight. But yeah, that's not me. But yeah, I'm pretty much a jack of all trades, master of none, sort of thing.
Right. So you've been, how many films have you done so far, John?
I've done 4 feature films now.
4 feature films. And by feature film, is that a 2-hour film, or what is that feature film? What does it qualify?
I think it's generally anything over 60 minutes long.
Okay.
So yeah, I did my first one back in 2014.
Okay.
On a budget of about 500 quid.
That's dollars, right? Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, it's British slang for pound. So yeah, quid.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. That's good to know. I've always wondered what the hell that meant.
Yeah. So, but this was at a point where I didn't really know how to do it. So, like, as I said before, I'm pretty much winging the whole thing. But yeah, I made that feature film, made another one, and another one. I'm working on my 4th one now. So yeah, it's all going really good. Won plenty of awards with it all. So yeah, it's all going swimmingly, and I get to do what I enjoy.
That is awesome. That is fantastic, and it's been something where, ladies and gentlemen, John has also won a series of different awards for these feature films he's doing. Sorry, I was trying to find the word feature in my head, but and I think that's really incredible, because it's got to be an incredibly competitive market and an incredible competitive field. And not only the fact that you're doing it, but that you're actually leaving a hell of a footprint.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see the competitive side of it, really. I'm not really, I do films because I want to do the films. I tend to do things, I tend to base my films on my interests, as I said earlier on. So things like UFOs, werewolves, things like that, everything's, I chuck them all in there. And it's something I like doing. So competition-wise, I'm not trying to outdo anybody or be better than anybody else. I just do my own thing because I enjoy doing it, and people seem to enjoy watching them. So that's even better.
That is incredible. Now, the thing that I think knocks me out the most is that you're not traditionally trained in this. This is just something you decided you loved and you were going to do, and you did it. You taught yourself this entire trade.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for about 4 years now. Never did this. I never went to film school. I barely went to school. I certainly didn't go to film school. So it was a case of I watched films. I watched, from a very early age, I watched films. That's how I sort of learned. Not learned how to do it, but you sort of get a grasp of things. It's not rocket science. You get a camera, you point it at someone and tell them to act a certain way. Then that's pretty much the basis of it. But you obviously just get better at doing that.
You just demystified all of Hollywood. And
yeah.
Oh, that's great. But you also have an incredible background in the paranormal as well, huh?
Yeah, I've been sort of researching the paranormal, cryptozoology from a very young age, and various experiences when I was a child, whether it's the paranormal, UFOs, all sorts of things, when I was a child. So, as I said earlier, when I became of age, I started to look into this kind of stuff a bit more, because you try and rationalize things. Did that thing happen? Did I really see that? Did this happen? You know, so you try and rationalize things, and you want to sort of get to the bottom of things, which is, I'm sure, is the same with you, Brent. You know, you want answers like we all do, whether it's Bigfoot or dogmen or, you know, ghosts. You know, we all want answers.
Yeah,
we don't think we're ever going to get answers, but it's fun trying.
well,
go on,
go
Brent.
Go ahead.
Go
Yeah, please.
Well, what's interesting and how I know John and met John is because I think it was like 4 years ago I joined your group because I was interested in filmmaking. Basically, I had no idea about what John's interests or anything. Literally just found a group and joined it, and I liked the way it was kind of. I could see the way the films were being made and stuff. And at the same time, I got into Bigfoot as well, and I kind of found this like research area, and I wanted to get a sound recorder, and I thought, oh, I'll ask that filmmaker because he'll know which is the best sound recorders, you know. So I messaged him and said, oh, can you recommend a good sound recorder? And I think he said, well, there's quite a few. Which one do you want specifically for what? And I thought, oh, how am I going to kind of word this? And I was like, well, just, just say I want to sit quiet somewhere and pick up the sounds around me like in a wood.
Oh, yeah, I remember that,
And John Potter, you want to say ghosts, don't you? And I was like, no, I don't want to say ghosts. I thought, how am I going to say Bigfoot? Because not a lot of people talk about Bigfoot in the UK. You know, you're talking to a random stranger mentioning Bigfoot. It's not like a no-no. You're going to get a funny look. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to say I'm looking for Bigfoot and just see if they're going to block me or, it'll entertain me or something. So I just put, oh, I'm looking for Bigfoot. And I could see he was writing something. I thought, what's he going to be saying? And his reply was, were you talking to someone who's been investigating like werewolves and into cryptozoology? And it was like, oh my, what a coincidence that you had the kind of like the same interest. And then from there, we've kind of chatted, and that's why I know you've got a paranormal link, and that's why I invited you tonight to
cool.
hear all about it.
That's wonderful. So John, can you tell us a little bit about what you've experienced in this whole paranormal field? Because you had mentioned prior to the show that you had experience long before you ever did the filmmaking.
Yeah. It started from quite a young age. I think it was about 10. I slept in a box bedroom. I'd say a 4-bedroom semi-detached house. If you know what a semi-detached house is over there, but it's a house connected to another house.
Oh.
Family, so quite 5. Well, I had 2 sisters, one 1 year older, one year younger, and also my mum and dad. This house was pretty old, probably older than America actually. It's pretty old. But yeah, I did just sort of started. But the thing was, when I was really young, my dad used to do things like the Ouija board, and he used to be very much into the paranormal. He used to go see a lady named Doris Stokes, who was a famous spirit medium over here. And he used to go see her quite a lot. And I used to quite often sit on Ouija board sessions, which when I think back of it now, I'm like, what was he on? Yeah, I was about 10, and I remember sitting around the table with my nan. This was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I probably just finished school. And I got my mum, my nan, my dad all there with the Ouija board, and I used to see, it's just to see spelling out things, messages for me. So it was quite normal, really. So there's no great shock that things started to happen in the house. So all sorts of rhubarb was going on, mate. I'm trying to think of an example. I don't. It's hard to pinpoint when it all started either. I just remember all of a sudden becoming scared of things. In my bed, because I had a separate bedroom. Then my two sisters shared a bedroom. I had my own sort of box room. It's quite a big one though. I don't know. Things started happening. I remember sort of feeling pressure on the end of my bed, which is quite common, you probably know. Feeling like a pressure on the end of my bed, because I used to sleep sort of, like most people do, legs down, feet down, dangling off the end of the bed, as they do now. But I used to feel sort of like a pressure. And I didn't really think anything of it because ghost wasn't a thing with me. despite the fact that we were doing the Ouija board. It wasn't really an issue, it wasn't really a thing, but I used to feel sort of a pressure. I remember one night feeling this pressure, and it felt like a dog had sat on the end of the bed. It was sort of okay, but we didn't have a dog, so okay. So, and I wanted to loop, but I didn't. Same with what you were talking about earlier on.
Sure.
So I sort of lifted my legs up, in a sort of fetal position. I remember that one. I remember that happening, but that started to get more regular. And I think when it really sort of happened was when I was lying in bed one night. Ever since then, I've always slept in that position with my knees up. For some reason, my legs were down. It was probably in the night, you get restless, you move about. So my legs were down at this point. I remember feeling something sort of, like when the bed's really tight at the bottom, you've got the sheets all tucked under the bottom. Obviously, my mum used to make the sheets like hospital corners, I think they used to call them.
Sure.
Like really tight, but it was as if someone was pulling the sheets from underneath. So it was getting tighter and tighter at the bottom on my legs.
Oh, no.
And it was like, and I could feel, because I used to sort of sleep like this with the covers up there. And I could feel it sort of almost being tugged, like up slowly. Like, I'm thinking if I let go of this now, it's going to move slowly down. And this was terrifying, this is really this is bad for me. And it was slowly moving like that. I'll just give it a very yank up like that. And I could feel it being tugged out my hands like that, and my feet. I couldn't describe it. It was as if somebody got like a hand and just gone this up my leg, like sort of like a heavy spider motion on my leg, and I just lifted it up. I nearly broke my jaw lifting my legs up that quick. When me hit my face. Oh man! And that was just really, for me, it was terrifying. But the thing was, just after this, my parents became religious. So I think what was happening in the house wasn't just me; it was my sisters as well. But what was happening in the house, I think my dad sort of got a bit of a guilty conscience, and he suddenly become very religious.
Sure.
And it wasn't ghosts anymore; it was demons. Which didn't help.
That's not a good thing.
Not really, So if you're thinking, it's just a ghosty and nan, it's sort of a bit better. But if it's just a demon, don't worry about that. It just made things a lot worse.
Yeah, that's scary. I mean, when you're talking about demon, that's when it becomes absolutely terrifying because and I think in the paranormal, the word demon gets really overused and it gets thrown around really freely by a lot of people, but I don't think a lot of people really understand the gravity of what that means. But a demonic encounter is absolutely horrifying. Then the tenacity of the haunting and the viciousness of the presence is just so overpowering. It's really I know people use that term a lot, like, especially in the investigator community. People love to say, I dealt with a demon over on, Jefferson Street the other day. It sounds great. It's like street cred, but I don't think most of them really understand what the hell they're talking about. And I don't think if you did just deal with a demon that you'd go around, talking to your buds about it. It'd probably, you need to have some time because that's a really, really dark presence. That's a really dangerous presence.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm not saying it was a demon. It's just
sure. No,
I'm what was in my head at the time. Because obviously you filled with various stories when you become religious.
Yeah,
it sort of coincided. Obviously, I became religious. My mum and dad were religious.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be religious. That's sort of the way it went.
Yeah,
whether we liked it or not. But I was about 10 years old, so it was sort of whatever. It's fine. But then obviously the whole demon thing, it was wasn't the most pleasant of experiences, knowing that that's probably what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, go on, sorry.
Did you ever look and see what was pulling your covers, or you never did look? Okay.
No, that wasn't the first on my list to do. I think 9 times out of 10, I'd just shout my mum and dad, or I'd run out the room. One night, I had this, my mother bought this acoustic guitar for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite weird, actually, because it was in the shop, this like local convenience store just up the road. And I saw this guitar. I've always wanted a guitar, acoustic guitar, and it was like, I can't remember how much it was at the time. This was like late 70s, I'd say.
Sure.
But it was a bit too expensive because my dad was on strike anyway. So money was quite tight. So it was too expensive anyway. A couple of days later, she bought the guitar back. She bought it and said the price had been changed, which the shopkeeper had no idea about, but it changed all the same. So it was like amazing, you know. I got this guitar, acoustic guitar, no idea how to play it, but you know that wasn't the issue. I just wanted a guitar.
Right.
Put it in my bedroom, and I was watching it at night, and then it started playing on itself. So I was
like, well, that's a great guitar. You don't even have to learn it.
That was at the end of my guitar career. Well, when I say playing, I was just watching the strings, and the strings looked like they were sort of moving, like vibrating almost. The longer I looked at it, it was like, I can hear it. It was just like scraping almost, and then it was like vling, 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 across it like that. I was like,
wow.
So I just ran out of the room, and my dad burnt it outside that night. So, so yeah, that was that. So yeah, I mean, go on, sorry.
What was happening to your sisters? Were they experiencing stuff?
Not as bad. They sort of, strangely enough, they started to experience stuff when I left home. I mean, this was 15, 20 years ago. They started experiencing stuff. So it was way after all this when they'd grown up, but still living at home. My sister, being my younger sister, she had it quite bad, actually. She saw plenty of stuff. She saw what she thought was a cowboy standing in the mirror. Not so many cowboys in England, but she saw a cowboy in the mirror. And she also saw lots of what they call dark masses, black shapes and black rooms, you know, the blackest of the black and a dark room. I think she was waiting for a boyfriend to pick her up one night, and she went into this room. She didn't bother turning the light on. She just go straight through and out through the front door. But something just sort of stopped her. You know, when you stop, you think, oh my God, something's there. And she said she could sort of make out these black figures. There's about 6 or 7 of them in this room, and they were moving around like chess pieces, like side to side and diagonally and all that. Oh. And she just, you know.
That's kind of intense, yeah. That's
weird. Well, yeah, they started having all this stuff, but at the time, not so much. They were just loving the idea that it was all happening to me at the time.
Oh well, you know, that's I suppose that's the thing. It's you love your family members, but it's better them than you.
Yeah, they lapped it. They were loving it.
Oh no!
As long as you didn't transfer over to their rooms, it's fine.
Did you have any visual phenomena in your experiences there, or was it all mostly present?
I have done later in life.
Okay.
When it comes to, you know, the paranormal. When I was a kid, I've seen things move on their own, like figurines moving, twisting around, curtains blowing, when all that kind of stuff, but no actual physical entity. But I think that's mainly due to my eyes were closed for 90% of my youth.
Yeah.
For that reason, you know, not wanting to look what's there. I could feel something there. I could hear something there. That's good enough for me. I'm happy with that. I don't want to see if anything's there. But later in life, I did see like what you call, you know, full apparition.
Wow.
That was. Do you want me to tell you about that one?
Please. Yeah, that's perfect.
It was a place called. It was about 15 years ago. I was doing a paranormal investigation. It wasn't me. It was. I can't remember the name of the group I was with. It was in a place called Cheshire, in England. Sort of. I don't know. What would you call it, Danielle?
Where Cheshire?
Chester.
Oh, Chester. It's near Wales, isn't it?
Is it? Oh.
It's on the way to Wales.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it was like this sort of big Georgian type building. Really, really old it was. But I've been on hundreds before this. Okay, hundreds of ghost hunts, just purely out of, you know, curiosity. But on this particular one, there was about 3 or 4 spirit mediums in there. And there's kind of like a grand staircase, and they were all looking at this grand staircase. And they were all, this one guy in particular was talking about this lady who walks up and down the staircase every night waiting for her husband to come back from the First World War, I think it was. which obviously never came back. But that's all she does. She just wanders up and down the staircase. And he was saying, "Oh, can you see it?" And I was like, "Well, obviously not. No. You know, I'm not that way inclined. I'm not. What did that guy call it last night? Where you're not susceptible to those kind of things. You're not. What's the word? You're not open to, you know, visualizing things like spirit medium would be." But anyways, he started to explain what it was that he could see. He said, "What you're going to do, you're going to look at the staircase now." And I think he gave me the example of a blackboard. It says, draw a figure of a person on a blackboard and then smudge it off with your fingers. And as he was explaining it, I sort of can see something. Some kind of something. I don't know. My eyes playing tricks on me. What? But the longer I looked, the more I could see, and it became a figure walking up the staircase. And I was like gobsmacked. And eventually I could see hands on the banister walking up the staircase. I could see the whole thing. Then just like that, she was gone. The only way I can describe it is, you know, when you walk into a dark room, say it's your bedroom, the light's off, you can't see a thing, but then give it 20, 30 seconds, you can pretty much see everything in the room.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you know your bed's there, you know this is there, that's that, and everything becomes quite visible. And that's the only way I could describe it happening. As he was describing it, I began to see it. And it hasn't happened since. It didn't happen before. But that was pretty weird.
That is pretty weird. I wonder if there was, you know, I don't know how you feel about the whole psychic phenomena, but I think there's really some very gifted people, and I think that we probably all have an ability to an extent, and perhaps he was bridging that for you in some kind of psychic way, and then your pineal maybe opened up, and you could start to perceive that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, whether that's power suggestion or I don't know, whatever the case is, you know, it happened. I know people can sort of visualize things to an extent where it becomes a reality.
Well, you know, we hear that a lot coming in the Bigfoot world as well, is that there's some people that seem really capable of discerning a Bigfoot in a whole bunch of cover. And there's, I guess you got to take it for what it is, but I think some of these people are truly, they have the ability to really break up the background and to pull, you know, a figure out and explain what's going on, whereas other people don't. And I know that we of course get a lot of blob squatches and stuff like that in the Bigfoot field, but I think that some people really are tuned into that, and they can really narrow down on it. And I think it's not a whole lot different than those people that see spirits. You know, it's just kind of a gift or something that's developed over a period of time in that research. So just a thought.
Yeah, you're probably right. What do you think about the whole portal thing? That explanation to me sort of sorts a lot of the stuff out, where these Bigfoots, dogmen, ghosts, UFOs, and all that. But it's just something I can't get my head around. I can't. It's not a reality to me. I can't really see that.
Well, as far as the Bigfoot and dogmen for portals, you mean?
Yeah, well, anything, you know, UFOs.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of struggle with the whole portal idea myself. I think that there are spirit portals, and I think that spirits utilize those, and because they're energetic beings, you know, so I think that those kind of gateways are just accessible easily to them. But I'm still kind of at the physical point with the whole Bigfoot phenomena and dogman phenomena, and it's hard for me to get my head around the idea that they just kind of sidestep reality and then sidestep back. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm just saying it's hard for me to conceptualize that on a a logical level. So I'm really not sure how to roll with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Kerry's back.
Oh, hello.
Is he muted?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Are you muted, Kerry?
No.
I see he's got a line through his microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe now.
No. Nope.
Sounds like no.
Oh well. Bye.
Just pull some charades off there.
Yeah, I think as regards to portals, I think it's just stuff that we can't see. Because I've always thought, I think we can see something like 0.05% of what's actually around us. You know, we can't see nothing really. We can only sort of go by what our eyes are telling us that we can see. So who's to say what's around us? You know.
Good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
I mean, who's to say that there's a phenomenon? I can never say that word. Phenomenon. Yeah, whatever that word. Who's to say there's not a phenomenon that's going on around us,
right,
that we can't detect because we haven't got the organ to detect it? For example, we know something smells because we can smell it with our nose. We can hear things because we've got ears. Who knows what's out there that we can't detect because we're not built that way to does that make sense?
It really does. It really makes a whole lot of sense to me, and I've thought about that many times. The whole idea that we have only a specific range of sight that we're capable of, and there's still things that could be existing in a different wavelength of light that we just can't see. You know, so maybe those things are out there. That's a great point. And I think that's very profound. And the same for hearing. You know, I mean, dogs can hear so much more than we can.
Yeah,
so their reality is bigger, and dogs can smell so much more than we can. So, you know, there's a lot of reality that we just can't perceive fundamentally with our natural senses. So yeah, that is a great point, and point well taken.
And I think as well, sorry, Dan.
I'm saying we're all on a spectrum of all sorts, aren't we? But who knows how far it goes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it's just down to that. I think it's just we can't see nothing. We're very limited. We only use a very small part of his brain. You know, we just can't see things. And I think as our brain edits a lot of stuff out. There's an example. Just give me a second. I'll just draw something up. But yeah, I think our brain sort of. I've got one somewhere. Give me 1 second.
Sure. You know, that reminds me, Daniela, when I think about the UFO that I did see. I saw it through infrared, but I didn't see it with my naked eyes, and so that's when this whole discussion kind of hit home to me. It's like, well, I've always assumed that it was cloaked, that they just had the ability to turn off the light that I could see and still be existing in other wavelengths of light. But since I was using night vision binoculars, I could see that flying saucer right above the trees there. It was just brilliant. But when I lowered them, it was just night sky, and it was troubling. And I thought they could just hide. But you know, what if it was Cade Moya of the Believe podcast out of Australia that said, you know, have you ever considered that that's just the wavelength they exist in? And I was like, no. So that's an interesting correlation.
Definitely, yeah. And I've heard that before. I think it was on one of Wes's shows. A guy who'd been in the military. He said the sky was moving with the vision goggles he was using in the military. Yeah. He said there was millions of things up there. He said you won't believe. The whole thing was moving, and you just don't see it when you're not looking.
Yeah.
I've used them before. There's a place called Wiltshire in England, down south near sort of Stonehenge and all that kind of area. It's all a bit mystical down there. But there's a lot of big, huge UFO hotspot. And you get a lot of sort of guys going down there in the trail, you know, camper vans, things like that, overnight vigils. And they've all got these goggles. And I was looking through one night, and it's just like what Daniela said. It's just nuts. There's so much stuff going on over there. You know, I mean, you can put it down to other things, but to me, it was just mind blowing.
Yeah, it really is.
So it's out there, but I think, as I say, I'm just pretty sure we're just not capable of seeing all this stuff. It's out there, whether it's a dimensional thing. I just think our brains edit. Oh, I was going to show you that. It's a popular saying. Can you remember what that says, Brent?
A bird in the hand?
Yeah, it doesn't say that, though.
What does it say?
Read it again.
A bird in the hand.
Read it again.
A bird in the hand. In the hand. Oh, okay, yeah.
So your brain, 3 times your brain's edited that word there.
Yeah.
Even though it's just as big as the other there, your brain's telling you that it doesn't exist. It's not there.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's not there. That's not important. Just it doesn't exist. It's not in your reality. So you won't see that word. unless it's really pointed out to you. I just think it's the same with a lot of things, paranormal. Sorry, Diana.
In fact, Bigfoot Hagen sent me a video, and when you watch it, there's an example of some kids playing basketball, and they're passing the ball to each other. They're like it just under this bridge or something. And then when they replay it, it says, "Did you see the guy dressed up in the gorilla suit?"
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I know.
Play it again, and he's there in the middle. And he's just, it's like, how did you not see that? Here we go. Oh,
maybe. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. You're a bit frozen.
I'm sorry.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, it's frozen.
It's not good.
Yes, it does.
We'll let him try. We'll keep him. No. He's going to have to play with his booster thingy.
Yeah. It must be tough. He's way out in the middle of nowhere, too.
Yeah.
Trying to get a signal must be maddening.
Yeah, we'll get it sorted out.
Yeah.
So, going back to paranormal, what do you think? Have you seen orbs and stuff like that, or any kind of lights?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen orbs. I've seen. I saw one 2 weeks ago on a ghost hunt. They don't really impress me when I see them on video or camera, because they could always be put down to other things, whether it's insects or dust, all that kind of stuff. You can easily put down to other. But when I've seen them in reality, like glowing lights in my house or even outdoors, just glowing lights, little lights, whizzing past you. That's impressive to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think some UFOs could be holograms via satellites? Well, anything could be, couldn't it, actually?
Yeah, there was a thing that the government were planning, this is conspiracy theory, but bear with me, called Project Bluebeam, where they planned on staging a fake alien invasion with the use of satellites, projecting holograms onto the Earth of massive UFOs.
Right.
Public into submission, pretty much. That's just a rumour, it's not true.
Right. That'd be interesting if it happened, wouldn't they? Oh, Kerry's gone again. I'll just see if there's any more questions. There have been a few while we've been talking.
What are your thoughts on dogmen, Brent?
I'm sorry. What was that?
What are your thoughts on dogmen?
I think it's a pretty creepy phenomena. I think it's probably a little more rare than even the Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomena, but I think they're out there. I really do. I think that there's been enough credible witnesses, enough research has gone into it. We had Linda Godfrey on my show, and it was really interesting. She went into a lot of the research and stuff that she's done, and just so many different diverse witnesses, and it's kind of the same thing as the Bigfoot phenomena, that they can't all be wrong,
Yeah.
So they're out there. I don't know what they are. I think, are they a holdover from some ancient, the cynocephaly, or those old dog-like warriors that were founded? St. Christopher was apparently a dog-headed guy. So, there is a historical precedent for these things to be around as well. I don't know. I think they're there. I think that.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
It's weird because it all seems to have come about quite quickly. It hasn't really been this big for this long. But I put that down to the name change.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I think if you see something like that in the woods, walking in the woods one day, I'm not going to go running up to say I've just seen a werewolf. It's a bit of a stigma, but I think once people find out, dogman, what's this dogman? That sounds a bit more. It still sounds ridiculous, but it's of a bad bunch sort of thing. So I think it's a name change. I think it's more, we don't have to say werewolf anymore, so I can tell my story.
Well, I've thought about, especially in the Bigfoot phenomena. So the Bigfoot phenomena, I think, as I was telling you, growing up, I had no point of reference for them being anywhere except the Pacific Northwest. But what I've found since looking into the Bigfoot phenomena is that every region had their name for these things. There's boogers, there's wild men, there's grass men, there's momo, and there's skunk apes, and everybody had their own regional name for it. And so it was always kind of kept in their little regions because I think they all felt it was a regional phenomena. But then once this idea of a Bigfoot came out and this description came out, and people were like, wait a minute, that sounds like our deal. And suddenly it became apparent that this was an incredibly widespread phenomenon. It wasn't regional at all. So I think the unifying terminology really helps.
Mm.
Yeah. I was in British Columbia a few years back now, a place called Harrison Hot Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of Bigfoot culture there. There's wood carvings, chainsaw carvings, Bigfoot everywhere. And I used to think it was sort of a touristy kind of trap thing, but it's just not. And they call it the big fella out there.
Yeah.
The big fella up in the woods. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, boss, you with us?
Yeah, is that any better?
That's much better. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I have to point my booster in the right direction. Just getting here, I didn't figure out which direction that was.
Oh.
Hopefully, I'm not breaking up any. But I did. I just wanted to crash the party for just a minute. You guys were talking about the whole portal thing and what the Omaha Indians believe, especially about Dogman. This Dogman is the protector of the path being what I assume to be another plane of existence. And then where the veil is thin is where you see Dogman. So like Dogman is the guardian of the gate, the portal, so to speak, to go to that other plane or that other dimension or whatever it is. This is what they believe. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you were to try to make sense of any of it and put enough stock and faith into something like that, to me, it's if they exist, it's a natural, plausible answer. This is something that was created. I mean, think about why would Dogman exist otherwise in the natural world? Something created to keep everything else out. Certainly, it would be able to do that. I think.
Yeah, they're pretty fierce.
From what I hear.
For sure. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think that's well said, and that's a great point. I mean, I guess we've probably lost a lot of that in our Western sensibilities when we've lost a lot of those old wisdoms, and that's it's good that they're making a resurgence in some ways, and that some people still have those old knowledges, and maybe they're representative of something else, but at least they're explaining something that we don't understand anymore, and I hope someday we will.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think it's just got such a stigma attached to it, not so much Bigfoot, but certainly Dogman. You only have to say the way Dogman, Dogman. Right. It sounds like some crappy superhero. I mean, people are not going to, tail start wagging whenever there's danger. But I just think there's a big stigma attached to it. So I think there's so many, because obviously I hear reports on Bigfoot, Odyssey, and Sasquatch, all these things. So many reports where people can actually voice their experiences on, which is just really haven't had before. And I think people are still scared. I think you got so many for every one person that doesn't come that does come forward. There's probably about 20 that don't, because there's a stigma.
Yeah, I think it's way more than that. I think there's way more people that don't report it than people actually realize. I mean, like where I'm from, and I make note of this in our last documentary, that if you look at a sightings map, the state of Mississippi and South Mississippi especially, there's a hole right there over South Mississippi, and it's not because people aren't seeing it. It's just either such a common occurrence that there's nothing to report, or nobody's saying anything. I mean, it's natural to fear ridicule from people who deny the existence of such a thing. So when you hear people say, "I don't care what anybody thinks," that's just BS. I don't believe that at all.
So So Kerry, when you had your sighting, did you even think about bringing it forward on something like this, for example?
No, there was nothing available like this.
Let's say if there was.
Well, you had Coast to Coast AM,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah.
I was.
I don't think I would. I don't think if I saw something like that, I don't think I would.
Well, it was such a traumatic thing for me at the time that I had to change everything. There was no more going to the woods, so I either had to change everything or drive myself nuts trying to figure it out. I still did that. I still tried to sit and figure out, what I could find on the internet, which was little of nothing. I mean, I went to the point of researching trolls and ogres, and I mean a lot of correlation with Sasquatch and ogres and trolls. You would be surprised if you actually looked into it. But no, I had no plans of it changed things so much that it changed the way that I treated people, because I didn't want to be around anybody. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I just wanted to be alone and sob and be by myself, and I did that for years and years. And then this happens, and I'm forced out, and now there's a whole new dynamic here. I have to find out what this thing is. And then finally, Wes Germer, thank God for him, comes out with the Sasquatch Chronicles. And you start in 2012, which was the year I first told my encounter. I didn't tell the whole thing. Some guys at work were arguing with each other about whether Bigfoot was real or not. And I just stepped in and said, yeah, I've seen this thing. They exist. They're out there. But at that point, researching it for 5 years and not really coming up with any answers, I didn't know much more than I did before I had seen it. I treated it like a near-death experience. I don't feel that way now, but that's why I think it affected me so much, because I felt like I'd escaped with my life. That if I did tell it, it was going to be a cautionary tale. At best, that was going to be my contribution. And thank the good Lord again for Linda Arnold and her bright ideas. We wouldn't be sitting here right now, I think.
Wow. See, I'm dubious about going to the woods, and I haven't even seen one. Watching stuff like this.
Used to love it, lived it, breathed it. I can remember belly crawling through the thickest stuff out there just to try to get in a position, because I knew there were some bucks, like bachelored up bucks, bedded up in this one area. I knew they were there, and I'm on carrying my rifle, this way, belly crawling. That's how much I loved being out there in those woods. There wasn't a thing in the world that could have drove me out except that. That was the one thing, and it happened. But hey, this is not about me. I'm sorry I missed so much of this. My internet connection is even worse over the battery. So
you are use it.
I don't know what I missed. I did catch the part where you said you weren't the John Williams that wrote the scores for all those movies.
I'm afraid not.
I made that little joke last night. But, I'm sorry, Daniela.
I was just looking back at some questions. That was all.
Oh.
John, have you ever seen any aliens?
Not up close and personal, no. I've seen sort of lights coming from a UFO. That could have been an alien, I don't know, but I haven't seen anything sort of that's an alien.
So tell us about your werewolf research and what's going on in the UK with werewolves.
I haven't done a lot of research, but it's something I'm sort of looking into. Let's call them werewolves. Yeah. I was doing a documentary. I had a little sort of ghost hunt group at the time called the Poltergeist. Just me and a mate of mine, and we were sort of just going on different things I was interested in, whether it's Bigfoot, werewolves. In Britain, you've got all sorts of stuff. You've got mermaid folklore, you've got fairies, pixies, all this kind of stuff to go at. So, but we started on the werewolf one, and then doing an overnight investigation. It's a place called Cannock Chase, which is quite a large forested area, not far from where I live. and it's also got a lot of it's got a big Germanic what's called burial, like a memorial. There's about over 1,000 German soldiers that were shot down in the Second World War buried there, and lots of like Polish soldiers and things like that, and obviously some British on the other side as well, around there. But apparently this is where this dog man is supposed to have been seen quite a lot. So we interviewed this ex-policeman. He was in tears when he was talking about this. I never forget that, because I just thought he was full of, crap. But then he started talking, coming out with all this stuff. It was a different story, because you can read people, can't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, then there was a scout leader who'd seen it. Anyway, so I decided to go overnight. Still not really grasping the whole thing, what I thought. And I ended up doing it on my own. So I did an overnight investigation, just had a little torch with me. Didn't even have a camera.
Wow.
Just sitting in the woods, and it was pretty hairy, because you've got deer. Obviously, you can't see them at this point, so you've got deer walking around, you've got foxes, you've got badgers, you've got all sorts of stuff going on around you. It was pretty scary. But I was thinking, in the morning, as soon as it goes light, because it's owned by the Ministry of Defence, this area is, which is pretty weird.
Mm.
It's owned by the British Ministry of Defence. So I thought, well, in the morning, I'll knock on the door, because I know it's manned all the time. So I was pretty shaken up though, because I was hearing a lot of stuff all night. Obviously, when you're in that position, when it's dark and you're on your own, you can't see your hand in front of your face. Everything's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Moth lands on your head, it's a werewolf. So in the morning, I was just really sort of shaken up by the whole thing. So I knocked on his door. So I thought, I'll interview the guy and say, have you heard anything about? Because he's here all the time. Has he heard anything about the Cannock Chase werewolf? And also bearing in mind the area of Cannock Chase, they've got walkways, sort of paths, and they're often named after werewolves. You've got that werewolf road, werewolf path, all this stuff,
Huh.
And there's also a lot of underground mines there, old tin mines, which stretch. It's like spaghetti. So underneath a huge amount of tunnels. So that the idea of something hiding out there isn't so ridiculous. You can quite easily do that. But anyway, I knocked on this door, and this guy answered the door, and he's got the biggest eyebrows I've ever seen in my life. Like big bushy eyebrows, and he met in the middle.
Oh, nice.
I was enough of that. So I left it at that. It just freaked me out.
And had he seen anything?
Sorry?
Did he have any experiences himself that he said?
I asked him where the burial ground was, and we were in the burial ground. I just panicked because I just saw his eyebrows. I was like mixed up with the whole experience at night time. This is years ago.
Sure.
I just took one look at his eyebrows, and that was enough. I put two and two together, come out with 16.
Sure.
So, yeah.
The funny thing that is that seems to be thematic for the dogman werewolf whole concept is that they are often reported around great cemeteries.
Yeah, in particular Germanic German burial grounds.
Well, yeah, but I mean here in the U.S. as well.
Yeah,
that I find very interesting, and then tying that back to Kerry's remark from the Omaha Indians that they are guardians of portal.
Yeah.
I mean,
But the veil is thin.
right? That's what
Maybe
I'm saying. That's kind of neat. That's a brilliant correlation, actually.
well, that's the thing with Cannock Chase. It's hotspot for UFOs, hotspot for Bigfoot, hotspot for dogmen, all this kind of stuff. Also, the black-eyed children is a big thing. Cannock Chase, people see them everywhere. You can't move black-eyed children apparently in Cannock Chase. Will o' the Wisps, all this stuff goes on apparently there, and apparently according to Nick Redfern, it is one of their portals. So yeah, it just lends favor to that.
Right. Now, Will o' the Wisps, I find as an interesting concept. How does that, in your estimation, differentiate from spirit orbs or the other orbs that are reported? Because for me, it all kinds of bleeds together. There's the UFO orbs, there's spirit orbs, there are these Will o' the Wisps. And they're all these little balls of light. So I've never quite figured out how you can tell one from the other.
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I can't tell personally. I used to have one in my garden when I was young. I used to have all the lights that used to be in my garden. This was before solar lights or anything like that. It was about. This was like 70s, mid 70s, I'd say, late 70s. And I used to have this ball of light. It used to be there, say, once or twice a week, and it used to just move around my garden. I used to watch it move around the garden. It was just a light. I used to think it was like a fairy or something, but I was, 8.
Yeah.
It was just like a ball of light, which I still think about to this day. What was that? No idea.
Yeah.
But I've photographed orbs, and I've photographed orbs that have had faces in them. I've had photographed orbs with numbers in them.
Oh.
So I just don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know either, but I was
At the end
curious.
of the day, we've all got these theories about everything, whether it's religion, UFOs, Bigfoot. None of us know anything. We don't know anything. We all guess. We've got no facts about anything. We don't know. So
That's right. We don't know anything. John, we'd love to get you back on showing us those pictures for sure.
yeah, sure, definitely, right, yeah.
And you mentioned, I'm gonna say this before I jet out because I got to get back over there.
Yeah, sure.
You talk about, none of us, we don't know anything, but I think it's really important that we continue to speculate.
Definitely.
And make sure that we're making that distinction, because a lot of people don't.
Exactly.
Throwing these things out there as fact, but it's important for us to speculate because, aside from not having much more than that, people are out there actively doing the best they can. I truly believe that people are trying really hard to get as many answers as they can, but we have to keep this going. And to me, the only way we do it is to guess and then put our ideas out there.
100%. I think more so with the Bigfoot stuff, that is certainly doable. Because you can, it's something there, it's a physical thing, but I think I'm talking about more so things like will-o'-the-wisps,
Well, even if we get irrefutable proof, of Bigfoot, we're not going to know a whole lot about them. There's just no way that we're going to be able to study them in their natural environment and them not know we're there, with them acting natural and normal. They're just, even if you're there watching them and filming it, they know you're there. So they're not going to be doing their natural, normal thing. So even then, I still think we're just unless we can sit one down just like this, and have them tell us, what's going on. But hey, on that note, thank you, Brent, for coming in and filling in, and you do a wonderful job every time. I'm going to have to start finding somebody else because you do too good. Daniela, love the setup. John, I'm going to have you back, man. I want to see some of those images you got.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody. Going to work.
Yeah.
Gary, take care. Very cool. I have seen orbs myself, John, and on 2 occasions in my life, and both times they looked about the same. But the first time was probably in what was that? About 1997, 96. I was sitting on the floor of a house that my ex-wife and I rented, and it was a brand new house, brand new build. So it's not like there was any history in this house at all. We were the first people ever to occupy it, but we're sitting there. I'm sitting there. She's asleep. My ex-wife is asleep, and I'm watching television. At that time, I was a cigarette smoker, so I'm sitting on the floor smoking a cigarette, watching television. And I had the whole house is lit up. I had the lights on, so it wasn't like I was sitting in the dark. And there's no kidding, a little ball of light comes drifting right in front of my eyes, and it's about a foot off my nose, and it looks like this little golden sun. It's not quite as brilliant as the sun, but just a golden ball of light drifting by. And I'm looking at it, and I had no concept for spirit orbs at this time. I was pretty young. I was like, well, what the hell is that? And I was thinking, I'll bet you I could catch that. But then I thought, I'm not going to catch that. I don't know what the hell it is. So I did. And then it just drifted past my peripheral and was gone. The last time that I ended up seeing one was about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, maybe last year. I don't know. I'm terrible with time tables, but I had gotten up in the house that we're living in here in the north of Idaho. I'm getting up and going. The first thing I do in the morning is go get the coffee. That's the only thing that works at the beginning of the day. So I get up and go into the kitchen, and my kitchen is kind of L-shaped. So I'm walking into the kitchen, and around the cupboard comes this, no kidding, a little ball of light about 1.5 feet off the floor, shooting down right in front of me, comes right towards me, and then just shoots around my legs and is gone. I don't know what that is. I believe that is indeed a spirit orb, but just an incredible experience. No other directly correlating phenomena with it. They were just there and then they're gone. But I just found it absolutely fascinating that they looked to both times that I saw them, they looked like balls of light. And then, of course, you get to a lot of the claims out there about spirit orbs, and they don't necessarily look like that. And so that's why I have a hard time with a lot of photography that claims orbs, is that there's so many phenomena with the mechanics of a camera that can create a light flare, a lens flare.
Right.
Yeah. So
I don't usually look twice at them, but occasionally you'll see one that's clear something that's meant to be seen on that camera at that time.
Yeah, and I have seen some photos that I believe really are, but it's just so rare to find an actual photo of them. So I'll be really excited to see the images that you captured as well, because that sounds phenomenal.
Definitely. I was we saw one. I was working one night with this chap who's very religious. I won't say his name. He was a big Pentecostal guy, really nice, lovely guy. He's one of these happy clappy sort of cheers guys, which is great. Very enthusiastic. Yeah, he was great. Lovely, black fellow he was. He was a lovely guy.
Sure.
And he was very much very religious and stuff like that, you know. And we saw one night. We saw an orb. He said, "What was that?" It's just a sort of little light coming through. Like, what was that? And because in their faith, it's sort of they call them angels. Oh. So straight away, it's like it's an angel. Same with the demon ghost thing. And he was very sort of, like I say, he's very, very religious. So anything that I talked about, he was sort of laughed about it. So I used to talk to him about aliens, possibility of aliens, like, you know, possibility of life after death, portals, quantum physics, and all this kind of stuff. Bigfoot, all this kind of stuff. And he'd sit there laughing at me. He'd laugh at me and say, "Oh, you know, aliens, John with little green men." And it's like, you know, tell me that story about that burning bush again. You know, tell me that one about the talking snakes. You know,
sure, yeah.
Equally as ridiculous, but still possible all the same. So.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think there's the thing that I find the most amazing in my personal journey in the paranormal is that I'm constantly amazed at how little we know. You know, because the arrogance and the hubris of people is that it's all figured out. This is all mapped. We got it all sorted. You know, I mean, it's fine. Just go, you know, keep your head down, do your life, because there's nothing to see here. But then as we see these things, to me, what the paranormal is, and I say this all the time on my show, but I don't always say it here, so I'm going to say it again and be redundant. But I think that the paranormal is really the breadcrumbs. It's the breadcrumbs that kind of they demonstrate a really fluid and dynamic reality that we live in, and that each time something like this happens, it's showing us the impossible. You know, we're seeing the impossible happening all the time. So I think that reality and truth isn't rigid and concrete. I think it's very fluid, and we really don't understand what we're dealing with.
No, I've always seen it as we're all ants in a shoebox. And with that second, third generation of ants in the shoebox, and this is all they've ever known. Mm-hmm. The shoebox, the lid's on the shoebox, and one day someone's going to kick that shoebox over, and we're all going to be like, "Whoa!" this might happen when we die. You know, when we die, we're like, "Oh, is that it?" You know, what's all this about? You know, we might be in heaven, we might be floating around somewhere, and you know, who knows? But I think one day we will know, and that I think is when we die.
Yeah, well, that's that. I would agree with you there. That someday I'll be able to. Yeah, very cool. So, what is next for you? What do you got on the drawing board now?
I've just finished, almost finished my fourth feature film, which is called Tales of the Creeping Death, which is basically 4 short films into one, with like a fifth holding story that holds them all together. A bit like a Creep Show kind of thing. Oh, Tales from the Dark Side, all that, Asylum, all these kind of films. So yeah, effectively 4 short, 20-minute long horror films, and they're all based on stuff I'm interested in, because I only do stuff that I'm interested in. You got one about a werewolf. You got one about aliens and stuff, and you got one about secret societies, and you've got one about the human mind. So yeah, so that's how I enjoy doing it, because I can really get my teeth into that. It's something I'm interested in, therefore I'll do it.
And where can people find your other films at to watch your other films?
Ooh, they're actually in distribution in North America at the moment, but I haven't got a release date yet. I sort of sat on them for quite a long time. There's a film called The Slayers, which is a vampire film, and a film called Crispy's Curse, which is like a paranormal stroke slasher kind of thing, more focusing on the paranormal side there.
I love The Slayers. That's my favourite, I think.
Is it? Yeah.
I like Crispy's Curse as well, but I like Job. I like the adventure. I like all that kind of thing in The Slayers. You know, it's a good story. So if anyone, you know, can, like I said, put the link to your Facebook page, your group as well.
Oh, yeah.
If people want to check you out there and find out where they can find your films, I really enjoyed them. If you like kind of that sort of comedy horror almost.
This one's more horror, the one I'm doing at the moment. And I want to come over to America next year and do something on Sasquatch, Bigfoot. I really want to, but I don't know what yet.
Yeah, you're in the right place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's sort of the next on the list, I hope.
Yeah, good. Well, we are coming up to our hour. Already. I know. It's goes so quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does a bit. No, yeah, I enjoyed that. It was good. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing, you see. So I'm like, I got Daniela trying to say, oh no, you have to download this and download it. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done this before, so yeah, it's cool.
We've got
we watch the show as well, so
excellent. Well, we'll have you back anyway if you come back, and I could look at those pictures and talk about your new film when it's out, and that'd be good. So thank you, Brent, for
my pleasure
stepping in tonight and being there for me again.
I'm always there for you, Daniela.
Thank you, John. Good night, good chat.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night we've got Connie Willis coming on, so and then we'll have the Blue Line Bigfoot Boys, and then it'll be Wes Germer and Tony Merkel for Halloween night. So
good luck with that one.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So thanks everyone for joining us tonight, and have a good night.
Yeah. Cheers.
Bye.